Welcome back. Today we're examining a case that is, frankly, deeply disturbing. It cast a very long shadow over a community.
It did. We're going to be looking at the life and the crimes of Daniel LaPlante.
Yes, and we want to acknowledge right away the seriousness, the gravity of what we'll be discussing. Our goal is to carefully trace the timeline.
From his earliest years through the truly horrific events and, well, up to where things stand now.
We plan to be very measured, very respectful in exploring the facts. We've drawn on quite a few sources here.
We have, including the Prosecutor's Podcast.
Yeah.
Their episode, Somebody's Watching Me. Also, the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court decision, the official one, Commonwealth versus Daniel J. LaPlante.
Right, and the Wikipedia page, of course, the 10-Minute Murder podcast about him, and Ghosts in the Attic from Once Upon a Crime.
Also, Mini Morbid from Morbid, a transcript from Mr. Ballen's YouTube channel about the basement secret, and the Dark Downies podcast on the case.
So quite comprehensive. Our focus today is really on that timeline, laying out the events chronologically to try and understand the context, as much as one can, given how troubling this all is.
Exactly. So let's begin where it makes sense to begin. His birth.
Daniel LaPlante, born May 15th, 1970, in Townsend, Massachusetts.
His early life, it seems, was quite unstable. His parents divorced when he was pretty young.
And his mother remarried?
Yes. Later on, she had 2 more sons.
But there were also these claims LaPlante made. Very serious claims.
Extremely serious. He alleged extensive abuse, sexual, psychological, throughout his childhood.
He pointed fingers at his father, his stepfather, even a psychiatrist.
He did. He claimed his father was the main abuser. You could only imagine the potential impact of that kind of trauma on a child's development.
Absolutely. And on top of that, he had learning difficulties, diagnosed with dyslexia early on.
Right. And sources mention struggles with other learning disabilities, too, and attention deficit disorder.
So school was a real challenge, academically anyway.
It seems so. Though he did participate in some activities. He played football, ran track. This was while at elementary school in Townsend and then St. Bernard's High School in Fitchburg.
So it's a complex picture, isn't it? Someone trying to engage but facing these huge hurdles, both internal and external.
Definitely. And those difficulties weren't just academic. Socially, it sounds like he struggled immensely.
Classmates called him creepy, weird. Teachers saw him as a loner.
Yeah, and even neighbors apparently viewed him as strange, disturbed. It wasn't just kids being kids. Adults felt something was off.
And by his teens, his behavior, his appearance, even his hygiene, it got bad enough for a referral.
Yes, to a psychiatrist. He was diagnosed then with hyperactivity disorder. These are all just, well, deeply concerning signs when you look back with hindsight.
And there were behaviors, even before the later crimes, that were just profoundly unsettling.
By age 12, some sources say he was obsessed with death, the occult.
Doing things like trapping animals, staging fake funerals.
Yes, and drawing these really disturbing sketches of corpses. Neighbors, even then, reportedly found him creepy, emotionless. It's just chilling to think about.
And this pattern, it didn't stop. It escalated.
It did. In 1986, he's 16. He breaks into a funeral home.
And what he did there, stole clothing from a deceased person.
Yes, and left a note. Just 3 words. You're next.
Unbelievable. And the police reaction.
Dismissed it as a prank, according to the sources. Which, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? About how seriously things like that were taken then.
Around the same time, 1986, he apparently started dating someone.
He did, but it didn't last. And after the breakup, his behavior reportedly just spiraled downwards significantly.
Which brings us to the fall of 1986 and the Bowen family in Pepperell, Massachusetts.
Yeah, a truly disturbing sequence of events. The shift from those earlier acts to violating a family's home like this, it's stark.
The Bowen family. Frank Bowen, the father, and his daughters, Tina, who was 15, and Karen, just 9.
And they were going through an incredibly tough time. They had recently lost the girl's mother to cancer. Just devastating grief.
In that grief, Tina and a friend actually held a seance. Maybe looking for comfort or some sign.
It seems likely. Just trying to cope with this immense loss. Such a vulnerable moment.
And then shortly after that, the strange things started happening in the house.
Unsettling things. Tapping sounds. Noises from inside the walls.
And initially the sisters thought, or maybe hoped, it was their mother.
You could understand why they might cling to that hope, given their grief. which makes what was really happening even more terrifying.
Because the source wasn't supernatural at all.
No, it was Daniel LaPlante, 16 years old. He had secretly broken into their house.
And was living inside the wall.
Yes, in the cavities. Spaces just a few inches wide, apparently. It's almost hard to comprehend.
For how long?
It's unclear, possibly months. Some accounts even suggest it could have been up to a year, maybe even longer. The level of planning, the audacity, it's staggering.
And while he was in there, hidden away, he started actively tormenting them.
Yes, making noises, drinking their milk, changing TV channels, things designed to make them feel like they were losing their mind.
It escalated beyond just noises, didn't it? To messages, mind games.
It did. Eerie messages, as one source put it. Psychological manipulation, pushing them constantly.
Mr. Ballin's account gives some really specific, chilling details.
It does. The tapping in different rooms, the father, initially, thinking it was just grief playing tricks.
It kept happening. Things moving. Then the writing.
In red. Come find me, I'm in your closet. Imagine finding that. The girls ran to a neighbor's.
The father didn't believe them at first.
Not initially, according to that account. He even suggested counseling. Then silence for weeks.
Until it started again. More tapping.
And another message. I'm back, find me if you can. They fled again.
And this time the father searched.
Yes. Found the house ransacked. And then he saw someone in his daughter's closet.
Dressed in his dead wife's clothes. With a wig and a hatchet.
That's the account. LaPlante had then fled. Police searched but found nothing right then. The psychological torture on that family, unimaginable.
Then comes December 8th, 1986. Around 5:30 in the evening.
The family comes home. Things are wrong again. Radio's blaring, TV's on, lights everywhere.
And LaPlante emerges.
Yes, holding Frank Bowen's own hatchet and a wrench, his face painted with ketchup and mayonnaise, a deliberate attempt to terrify.
Frank saw him in the closet first, according to the Dark Down East podcast. LaPlante told him to go to a bedroom.
He did, but Frank reacted fast, slammed the door shut.
And Tina, she jumped from a second-story window.
Incredible bravery. To get help, she jumped.
Police arrived at 93 Lawrence Street. LaPlante got away initially.
He did, but then, almost unbelievably, he returned to the Bowen house a few days later. That's when they caught him.
Just amazing nerve or compulsion to go back. The Dark Down East source also mentioned gloves, maybe missing fingertip.
Yes, and the phone's ripped out. They brought in a tracking dog, but it couldn't find a scent trail. Maybe because they used Frank's hatchet for the scent.
And the description was vague because of the disguise.
Exactly. Somewhere between 17 and 26, maybe different hair, facial hair. Hard to pin down. And Frank Bowen himself suspected the intruder had been inside before. That long-term violation. Horrifying.
So after all that, LaPlante was arrested. But he didn't stay locked up then.
No. He was out on bail by October 1987, living with his mother and stepfather.
And while out on bail, he started committing burglaries.
Yes. Getting money, getting guns. His stepfather actually found one of the stolen guns in LaPlante's laundry.
He also burglarized the Gustafson home before the murders, stealing valuables.
That's right, valuables, knickknacks. It sets this deeply disturbing stage for what happened on December 1st, 1987. A clear escalation.
On that day, LaPlante, now 17, went to the home of Priscilla Gustafson in Townsend.
She was 33, a nursery school teacher, pregnant. Her home was only about half a mile from where LaPlante lived.
What happened inside that house it's just beyond words.
It truly is. Priscilla was found in the master bedroom, face down on the bed,
Yeah.
pillow soaked in blood.
She'd been raped and shot multiple times.
Yes, with a .22 caliber firearm, point-blank range, threw a pillow over her head.
And her children.
Tragically, her 5-year-old son, William, was reportedly in the room when his mother was shot.
LaPlante then told the boy his mother was sleeping.
Yes, before drowning him. Face down in the upstairs bathtub. The sheer callousness is staggering.
And he didn't stop there.
No. He also drowned Priscilla's 7-year-old daughter, Abigail, face down in the downstairs tub. She also had signs of blunt trauma to her head, compression of the neck, just absolute devastation.
Priscilla's husband, Andrew Gustafson, found them when he got home from work around 5 p.m.
The scene he walked into, I can't even begin to imagine. A living nightmare.
Investigators found a lot of evidence at the scene.
They did. Semen near the bed,
Hmm.
part of a condom, a knotted brown sock damp with saliva, likely used as a gag, found in the closet.
Ligatures, too. A necktie, socks, stockings.
Yes, 7 of them, knotted and cut. Also, a beer bottle from the fridge, nearly full, found in the bedroom. and torn pieces of a pornographic magazine in the kitchen trash. It paints a picture of a calculated, brutal assault.
And the gun, it was linked back to an earlier burglary.
Exactly. Two 22 caliber Ruger handguns and holsters were stolen from a place called the Pindell Home back on October 14th, 1987.
And one of those guns was the murder weapon used on Priscilla.
Correct. And remember, LaPlante's stepfather found one of those stolen guns in his laundry about 3 weeks later. LaPlante tried to lie, said he got it a year before.
The lie didn't hold up. There was financial evidence, too.
Yes. His brother and a friend, Michael Pulowski, saw LaPlante with several $100s cash when he wasn't working.
And the prior Gustafson burglary, November 16th, 1987, he stole items.
Right. Cordless phone, cable boxes, coins. He actually put the phone and a cable box in his brother's tool cabinet.
Yeah.
Even showed his brother's silver coins, like the ones missing from the Gustafsons. It links him directly to their home before the murders.
And crucially, he asked people for bullets.
Yes. His brother and Pulowski said he wanted to make a bigger billet to sell, which sounds odd. Pulowski gave him bullets near the end of November.
And those bullets matched.
Perfectly. Same brand, caliber, class, casing composition as the ones used to kill Priscilla Gustafson. A direct link to the ammunition.
The forensic evidence was strong, too. His blood type.
Type A secretor. Matched the semen found on the bedspread.
And fibers.
Fibers were key. They matched a shirt found later in the woods. Those fibers were on LaPlante's clothes, his socks, the belt found with the murder weapon, and at the crime scene itself. Plus, fibers from the gag sock matched LaPlante's shirt. It all pointed straight at him.
And his actions after the police showed up at his house, that points to guilt, too.
Absolutely. He left his home the evening of December 2nd after police arrived. The very next day, he's breaking into homes again in Pepperell.
Stole another gun, a .32 caliber revolver, tried to break into a third home.
Then abducted Pamela Michaela at gunpoint, trying to force her to drive him to Fitchburg.
Thankfully, she escaped.
She did. And LaPlante was found hiding in a dumpster in an industrial park in Ayer.
Armed.
Yes. He had that loaded .32 caliber revolver hidden in his underwear and a spare bullet in his sneaker. Desperate flight.
Back at the Gustafson house, the police found sneaker prints.
Yes, in a flower bed. And the family's nameplate was missing from the house.
Tracking dogs were used.
They were. Followed a trail into the woods behind the house. The next day, searchers found that blue and white flannel shirt in the woods between the Gustafson and LaPlante homes.
And inside the shirt,
the Gustafson's missing nameplate, along with wet gloves that had gunshot residue on them.
And the dogs tracked the scent from there.
Right to within just 3 or 4 feet of LaPlante's own home. A direct physical trail.
When the police questioned him, what was his story?
He claimed he was home alone on December 1st, watching TV. Said he was wearing gray sweatpants, a football shirt, and Converse sneakers.
But the prints at the scene.
Match size 11 or 12 Converse sneakers. His alibi fell apart against the physical evidence.
So the arrest warrant was issued December 3rd, 1987. He was caught hiding in a lumber yard.
And then the legal process began. January 12th, 1988, a Middlesex grand jury indicted him. 31 counts covering the Gustafson murders and the Bowen home invasion.
The trial was in October 1988, Middlesex Superior Court.
Given the evidence we've just outlined, it was overwhelming.
On October 26, 1988, the verdict came back.
Guilty. 3 counts of first-degree murder.
And the sentence reflected the horror of the crimes.
3 consecutive life sentences, without the possibility of parole.
But that wasn't the absolute final word legally, was it? There were appeals.
Right. His conviction was appealed starting July 27, 1992. But the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court reviewed it all and affirmed the convictions. That was November 17, 1993. Commonwealth v. LaPlante.
Then, much later, there was a significant Supreme Court ruling, Miller v. Alabama in 2012.
Yes. That ruling found mandatory life without parole sentences for juvenile offenders unconstitutional.
And LaPlante was 17 at the time of the Gustafson murders.
Exactly. So, based on Miller v. Alabama, he sought resentencing.
That hearing happened March 22, 2017, in Middlesex Superior Court again.
He argued for parole eligibility after 30 years. He cited his abusive childhood, claimed he'd been a model prisoner.
But the victim's family had a very different view. Priscilla Gustafson's sister spoke.
She did. Stated very clearly that LaPlante had never shown any remorse. The prosecution, meanwhile, argued to keep the 3 consecutive life sentences. Just raw, opposing viewpoints.
What did the judge decide?
The next day, March 23, 2017, the judge acknowledged the 3 distinct and brutal murders. She refused to reduce the overall sentence in that sense.
But she did change the parole eligibility.
Yes. She made him eligible for parole, but only after 45 years. That's 45 years from the original 1988 sentencing. The judge noted his lack of empathy, his antisocial personality disorder, despite any perceived progress in prison.
So eligibility wouldn't come up for a long time. This resentencing was then appealed again.
It was reviewed by the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court one more time. On June 6, 2019, the SJC upheld the resentencing.
They found that parole eligibility after 45 years was fair, not cruel or unusual.
It was their ruling, yes, considering the circumstances of the crimes. So that decision stands.
Which leads us to his current status. Where is he now?
As of early 2025, Daniel LaPlante is still incarcerated in Massachusetts at MCI Norfolk.
And that 45-year clock started back in 1988.
Correct. So simple math puts his first parole eligibility date somewhere around the year 2033.
It's also noted he spent time in the federal system, including ADX Florence.
Yes, between 1990 and 2000, ADX Florence is known for housing extremely dangerous inmates, a supermax facility.
Given the nature of these crimes, the hiding in walls, the brutality, it's not surprising there's been media attention.
No, definitely not. His case has been covered in shows like Your Worst Nightmare, Frogging, Hider in My House, The Real Murders on Elm Street.
And there was a movie, Boy in the Walls, from 2023, loosely based on the Bowen case.
That's right. And as we mentioned, numerous podcasts have covered it too. 10-Minute Murder, Morbid, Once Upon a Crime. The story resonates because it taps into such primal fears.
This timeline, it's just a stark, tragic path. From the early troubles and warning signs,
Through the terrifying invasion to the Bowen home,
to the absolutely horrific murders of Priscilla, Abigail, and William Gustafson, the impact is just devastating and permanent.
irreparable harm. Not just to the immediate families, but to the entire community. It leaves a scar.
It's impossible to talk about this without feeling profound sorrow for the Bowens, the Gustafsons, everyone affected.
Absolutely. Our deepest empathy is with them. The details are incredibly disturbing, and it's important to remember the real human cost.
As we've seen, there are many sources, many ways the story's been told for those who want to delve deeper.
Different angles, more details out there.
We encourage you, our listeners, if you feel inclined, to share your own thoughts and reflections on this case in the comments section below.
Yes, please do. We just ask that all discussion remains respectful, keeping in mind the victims and the immense gravity of these events.